Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking into something that might seem a little, well, I guess you could say mundane.
Every day.
Yeah, every day, exactly. Slip and fall accidents.
Stores, right.
In stores, yeah.
Yeah.
But trust me, it gets surprisingly complex.
Oh, yeah. You'd be amazed at the legal nuances involved. It's not just like, I slipped, they pay.
Right. There's a lot more to it. So we're going to try to unravel this using legal guides, advice articles, and we even found some tips directly from personal injury lawyers.
Yeah.
So our goal is to answer some key questions for you. Like, first of all, what are your rights in these situations? What should you do right after you fall? And then how can you build a strong case if you need to pursue legal action?
Think of it as a way to equip yourself with the knowledge to navigate this whole, this tricky territory.
Absolutely, yeah. Okay, so let's set the scene, right?
Yeah.
Imagine you're just kind of strolling through a store, maybe your favorite store, completely oblivious, and bam, you hit the floor. It's disorienting, it's embarrassing, maybe even painful.
It happens to more people than you think. And in that moment, knowing your rights is absolutely crucial. And so the first thing to really understand is that store owners have a legal duty of care towards their customers.
So it's not just about, like, keeping the place generally tidy.
Not at all, no. This duty of care, it's a legal obligation, and it goes much deeper than that. They're responsible for maintaining a safe environment, and this includes things like routine inspections, prompt repairs, adequate warning systems, all sorts of things.
Okay, I've always wondered about those wet floor signs. Are they, like, ever legally required, or is it more of just a precaution?
Well, while they're not always legally required, they play a key role in what's called constructive notice. So imagine this scenario. There's a spill, no sign, and someone falls. Even if the store owner didn't know about the spill at that exact moment, they could still be held liable.
Oh, wow. How is that possible?
Well, because if a hazard existed long enough that it should have been discovered through routine checks, that's considered constructive notice. Basically, they should have known, and they should have taken action.
So even if, like, I don't know, you're thinking, oh, come on, that little puddle isn't that dangerous, the store might still be in trouble if they haven't addressed it.
Exactly. It all comes down to what a reasonable store owner should have been aware of and what steps they took to prevent accidents.
Okay. All right. Let's say the worst happens and you do take a tumble. It's chaotic. What should you do first? I mean, besides, like, check if you're okay, obviously.
Right. Of course, your immediate priority is always your well-being. But right after that, there are some crucial steps you should take to protect your rights. Think of those initial moments like a crime scene you need to secure the evidence.
So while we're, like, dusting ourselves off, what should we be doing?
Documentation is key. Grab your phone, take photos and videos of everything. Capture the hazard itself from multiple angles, the surrounding area, even the lighting conditions. If there's a spill, zoom in on the substance, its size, and how long it might have been there.
So even things like low lighting or like a cluttered aisle, that could be important to document.
Absolutely, yeah. Anything that might have contributed to the fall. And don't forget to report the incident to store management immediately. This creates an official record of the event and starts what they call a paper trail.
Makes sense. But what if, like, no one saw the fall? It feels kind of awkward asking people for their contact info.
It might feel awkward, yeah. But trust me, witness accounts can be incredibly valuable. Eyewitness testimony can corroborate your story and provide additional details that you might not have noticed in the heat of the moment. So just politely ask anyone who saw the fall for their name and number. You'd be surprised how willing people are to help.
Okay, and even if we think we're fine, should we still go see a doctor?
Without a doubt. See, this creates an official medical record of your injuries, linking them to the fall. And even seemingly minor injuries can have like long-term effects, and having that medical documentation is crucial for any potential claim.
So even if we feel okay in the moment, a quick checkup is a smart move.
Think of it as proactive protection for your future. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about those common culprits behind slip and fall accidents. We've already touched on spills, but what else should we watch out for?
Yeah, I imagine there's a whole laundry list of potential hazards out there.
You're right. Poorly maintained floor surfaces are a big one. Think worn out carpets, loose tiles, cracks in the flooring, or even just uneven surfaces. These are basically accidents waiting to happen.
It's like a real life obstacle course, but without, the fun prizes at the end.
Exactly. And what's particularly tricky? Inadequate lighting. If you can't see clearly, you're more likely to trip over something or misjudge like a change in elevation.
Yeah, I've definitely been in stores where I'm like squinting to see what's even on the shelves.
Yeah, and don't forget about weather-related hazards too. Rain or snow, they can make entryways treacherous, especially if there aren't enough mats to like absorb all the moisture.
Oh yeah, those masks by the door. They're not just for show.
No, not at all.
It all makes sense when you think about it. But I admit I never really considered these things before,
Right.
like at all.
That's the thing about slip and falls, they often happen when we're least expecting them. But okay, let's say you've taken a tumble, you've documented everything, reported the incident. What are the next steps in proving that the store was actually negligent?
That's where it starts to feel a little intimidating, Like
Yeah.
how do we build a solid case that actually holds up legally?
Well, think of it as piecing together a puzzle, right? You need to connect the dots between the store's negligence and your injuries. And remember, those photos and videos you took, those are your cornerstone pieces. They provide visual proof of the hazard.
So we're basically playing detective, gathering all the clues.
Exactly. And another crucial clue is that incident report you filed with the store. Make sure you get a copy of that because it's an official record of the event.
What if they're like reluctant to give us a copy?
That's where having a lawyer on your side from the very beginning is incredibly helpful. They can make sure you get all the necessary documentation. Remember, the store's primary interest is often protecting themselves, so having someone who's on your side advocating for you can make a world of difference.
It's like having I don't know, like a legal shield against all those, pressure tactics.
Exactly. And speaking of lawyers, they can also help you obtain other crucial documents, like maintenance records.
What kind of information would those records like contain?
Well, things like inspection logs, repair schedules, any previous reports of hazards in that specific area. These records can be a goldmine of evidence, especially if they reveal like a pattern of negligence or previous incidents near the spot where you fell.
So if there have been multiple slip and falls near that same, wobbly display, that's a pretty strong indication that the store wasn't taking the proper precautions.
Precisely. It shows they were aware of a recurring issue and didn't address it adequately. Now, let's talk about witnesses. We touched on this earlier, but why are those eyewitness accounts so important?
Well, I'm guessing they can, back up our story and say, yeah, I saw that happen.
Yes, but it goes beyond simply confirming that you fell. Witness statements can provide valuable details that you might not have noticed or even remembered. Did they see the spill earlier? Did they notice any employees who seemed to ignore the hazard? Their observations can paint a much more complete picture of the whole situation.
It's amazing how many pieces of the puzzle there are to all of this. I'm starting to understand why having a lawyer to guide us through this is so crucial.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle, especially when you're dealing with injuries and the stress of the whole situation, right? And that's why lawyers who specialize in slip and fall cases are so valuable. They know the ins and outs of what they call premises liability law. This is the specific area of law that governs these types of accidents.
So they're not just legal experts, they're specialists in this particular field.
Exactly. And they can assess the strength of your case, gather all the evidence, negotiate with the insurance company, and even represent you in court if needed.
It's like having a legal Sherpa, guiding you through all this treacherous terrain.
Yeah.
But even with a lawyer, it all sounds pretty overwhelming. When should we actually contact a lawyer? Should we wait until we've gathered some evidence on our own?
Ideally, the sooner the better. A lot of law firms offer free consultations. Think of it as an opportunity to discuss your situation, get some expert advice, and understand your options without any obligation.
So it's like a legal checkup, a way to see if we even have a case worth pursuing.
Exactly. And during that consultation, be prepared to share details about the incident, your injuries, and any evidence that you've collected. The more information you can provide, the better equipped the lawyer will be to assess your situation.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the value in early legal intervention.
Yeah.
But what are some of the specific benefits of having a lawyer, on our side?
Well, as we discussed, they bring specialized knowledge of premises liability law, right? They understand the nuances of proving negligence, which can be very complex. They also have experience dealing with insurance companies who are, let's face it, notorious for trying to minimize payouts.
So they're like seasoned negotiators who can fight for what we deserve.
Precisely. They're skilled at pushing back against those tactics and advocating for your rights. Another crucial benefit is their ability to conduct a thorough investigation. They can access resources that you might not be able to, like security footage, employee training manuals, or even expert witnesses.
Expert witnesses. Who are those exactly?
Well, they're specialists who can provide expert testimony to support your case. So imagine, for example, a biomechanics expert analyzing your gait and proving that the fall wasn't due to clumsiness, but an actual hazardous floor surface. Or a medical professional linking your specific injuries directly to the fall, establishing causation and the extent of your damages.
Wow, it's like assembling a legal dream team to, fight for our case. I'm starting to feel a lot more empowered just knowing that all these resources exist.
That's what we want you to feel, informed and empowered. Now let's talk about something that a lot of people overlook: the full extent of their damages.
I'm assuming damages are like what we can potentially recover financially.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just immediate medical bills. There are often hidden costs associated with slip and fall accidents, like ongoing therapy, lost wages, even just the emotional toll of the experience, These are all factors that a skilled lawyer will consider when calculating your potential compensation.
So they're not just fighting for like a quick settlement. They're fighting for like our overall well-being, both physical and financial.
Precisely. Now let's demystify the legal process itself. It can seem daunting, but having a lawyer to guide you through each step makes it much more manageable.
Okay, so walk us through the basics. What happens, after we decide to file a lawsuit?
Well, the first step is filing a complaint in the appropriate court. And this document basically outlines the incident, your injuries, and the damages that you're seeking. It's like the official start of the legal battle.
It sounds a little bit like, David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
Especially if we're going up against like a big corporation.
Yeah, it can feel that way. Yeah. But remember, you have the law on your side, and a skilled lawyer will be your champion, so to speak, in this fight. After the complaint is filed, the store has a chance to respond to your allegations, and then comes what's called the discovery phase.
Discovery. What does that involve?
So this is where both sides gather evidence, interview witnesses, and exchange information. It can be a lengthy process, but it's really essential for building a strong case.
So it's like a legal investigation, uncovering all the facts.
Exactly. Your lawyer will guide you through this process, preparing you for things like depositions, which are formal interviews under oath, and any potential court appearances.
Testifying in court sounds terrifying.
I know, it can be nerve-wracking. But your lawyer will be there with you every step of the way, helping you understand the procedures, anticipate questions, and present your case effectively.
It's reassuring to know that we wouldn't be facing all of this alone.
That's the beauty of having that legal advocate on your side. They're there to protect your rights and fight for your best interests. Now let's talk about proving negligence, which is really the heart of any slip and fall case.
Okay, so how do we actually convince a judge or jury that the store was at fault?
Well, you need to demonstrate that the store owner failed to maintain that reasonably safe environment. And this could mean they either created the hazard themselves, knew about it, and didn't fix it, or failed to discover it through, those routine inspections we talked about.
So it's about showing they didn't live up to that duty of care that we discussed earlier.
Exactly. And this is where all that evidence we've been gathering really comes into play. Those photos, videos, incident reports, witness statements, those expert testimonies, they all work together to paint a clear picture of negligence.
It's like, like building a fortress of evidence around our case.
I like that analogy. And sometimes those seemingly insignificant details, those can make all the difference. Remember those clothes and shoes you were wearing?
Oh.
Those could be valuable evidence too.
Wait, really? How so?
Well, imagine a scenario where the store claims that you were running in the aisle and that caused the fall. But your shoes, for example, show no signs of skid marks or excessive wear, completely contradicting their claim.
Wow. It's amazing how these little things can become crucial pieces of the puzzle.
It's all about connecting the dots and building a compelling narrative that supports your claim. Now, what happens if the store tries to argue that you were partially responsible for the fall? Let's say you were looking at your phone and didn't see the spill.
Oh, I was just about to ask that. Does that mean, we're completely out of luck?
Not necessarily. California follows what they call a comparative negligence rule. This means that even if you were partially at fault, you can still recover damages. The amount you receive might be reduced based on your percentage of fault, but you're not completely barred from compensation.
Oh, okay. So Even if we made a mistake, we could still have a case.
Absolutely. The key is to demonstrate that the store was also negligent. They still had that duty to maintain a safe environment regardless of your actions.
Okay, that gives me some peace of mind. But all of this still hinges on those legal deadlines, right? Those statutes of limitations.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Those deadlines, they're non-negotiable. In California, you typically have 2 years from the date of the accident to file a lawsuit.
So if we miss that deadline, we're basically out of options.
It's very unlikely that you'd be able to pursue a claim after that point, so don't wait. The sooner you contact a lawyer, the better. They can ensure that all the necessary paperwork is filed, correctly and on time.
This deep dive has been, it's been a real eye-opener. We've gone from feeling like totally helpless after a fall to actually feeling empowered to protect our rights.
And that's exactly the goal. We want you to feel informed, confident, that you can navigate this complex territory.
So as we're wrapping up here, what's the most important takeaway you want listeners to remember from all of this?
If you were ever injured in a slip and fall, don't hesitate to seek legal help. A lawyer specializing in these cases can make all the difference in getting the justice and the compensation that you deserve.
Couldn't agree more. And remember, every case is unique, so definitely consult with a legal professional for, personalized guidance.
Great point. This deep dive is a great starting point, but it's no substitute for expert legal advice.
Well, that brings us to the end of our Slip and Fall deep dive. We hope you found this information helpful and empowering.
And stay safe out there, and remember, knowledge is your best defense.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, stay curious and stay informed.
Call now 714-442-9741. Thank you.